great Thanksgiving and enjoy the time with family, friends, food. So today is the live stream. Going to be answering your guys' questions. Real quick, I need to turn a light on because I'm very dark on YouTube and Facebook. So I'm going to go turn this light on real quick. 1 second. If you guys have questions, though, put them in the comments, put them in the question box thing, and I'll be back 1 second. There, hopefully that's a little better lighting for this live stream. And like I said, I hope everybody's doing great on this Friday. This is your time to ask questions about Carbon Diet Coach. I'm here to answer them for you. My name is Keith Kraker. I'm one of the co-founders here at Carbon Diet Coach. I'm also a registered dietitian. And so if you guys have any, even if it's not a question about the app specifically, and it's about nutrition, shoot, and I will do my best to answer your guys' questions. So getting to quite a few people in here. Let's see, we got 24 on Insta, and then we have like 5-ish people on YouTube, Facebook. So anything new planned for the app? Yeah, we always have new plans for the app. We are hoping to get a release out here pretty shortly with some mostly kind of bug fixes and those types of things, but there is a few enhancements in there. It has been quite a while since we got a release out, so we're hoping to get this one out ASAP. And then we have some really cool features in the pipeline that we are working on yet, but we're constantly working to make the app better based on your guys' feedback. So if you guys ever have suggestions, feedback, what you guys want to see with the app, you can always submit a support ticket through the app. So there's a feature request option when you're doing it through the app on the form. So if you guys have feature requests, do it through that. We keep track of all of those, read all of those. So when we do go to add more new features, we will always look at kind of what is the most requested and go from there. So great question. Let's see. Loving the app. 2 weeks in, Monday through Friday have been perfect. I've had some misses on Saturday, Sunday, but that's on me. Yeah, Jimmy, a lot of people really struggle with the weekends. So they kind of treat the weekend as just like a completely different thing. So they go out of their normal routine with eating, with everything, like it's just a very different time. Like, so their week is very regimented, and the weekend they kind of just try to wing it. I think that's the problem that a lot of people have, is they don't have a game plan going into the weekend. So the more you can plan ahead for the weekend, if you know you're going away, maybe you do like a high day on the weekend, just so it's a little easier for you to stay on track with your macros. You can use the calorie planner to do that. Maybe even doing some meal planning for the weekend, meal prepping, so you have meals ready. So, because a lot of times, people get into their weekend things, they're busy doing things at their house, and they don't think about what they're going to eat. So then they just grab stuff. So if you have kind of a game plan of what you're going to eat throughout the day, that can really help. So the more you can make the week and the weekend look similar in terms of your schedule and that type of thing, it'll be a lot easier to stay on track, in my opinion. But thank you for joining Carbon, and I'm glad that you're loving it. Let's see, got a few questions here. So this one's about a trial. So no plans to have a trial period before committing for paid version. Not at this time. As we get bigger and as a company, we're definitely going to have a trial in the future. But right now, with just the small team that we have, if we were to give a free trial, we would kind of almost put ourselves out of business, just because the amount of work it would take to support all of the free trial people as well as the paid people would just be too much with the team and the manpower that we have currently. So as we grow as a company, we're going to be making things like that happen in the app, but right now we can't swing it. But it's just $9.99 a month. I know some people are struggling with money, but if you use it for $9.99 a month and you don't like it, you can cancel. So you would just be out $10 if you really didn't like it. But the feedback on the app has been really great. You can read our reviews on the app stores. You can join the Facebook group to get a better understanding of what the app is like. So you can see a lot of people having success with it. And you can also go to joincarbon.com/help, and you can watch all of the Help Center videos, see all the different features that we have with the app. So you can be very informed before you make the decision of, is this worth $9.99 a month? So sorry about no free trial, but hopefully all that information helps you out. Let's see. When adding creatine to your drink, does it have to be consumed quickly, like within a set time? No. So yes and no. Like creatine like breaks down into creatinine when it's in solution and in water for an extended period of time. So like that's like days. So it's broken down over the course of days. So don't mix up the creatine and then drink it a week later. Like then it's probably going to have, you're actually getting less creatine that you can use for your body. But if you're drinking it within the same day, I wouldn't have any concerns over not getting enough creatine. So you shouldn't have to worry about, chugging it really quickly. Like you can drink it throughout the day and be totally fine, but I wouldn't go days with it in water. So hopefully that helps. Let's see. Got a few. Let's see. I got some on Facebook. Does the app let you know that you reached a good metabolism goal when you choose the reverse diet goal? I've had my metabolism checked and test came up slow through yo-yo dieting. So Kendall, the app will tell you when it senses you have a good metabolism, like if your metabolism is in a good place throughout the process of reverse dieting. So if the app senses that it is built your metabolism up from where you are currently and it reaches a certain threshold, it will say, yes, it appears you have a good metabolism. So there is that built into the reverse diet goal. Now, some people get that and they're still doing really good on a reverse diet. They're still increasing calories and not really gaining any weight. Like for those people, I recommend just keep on pushing on with a reverse diet. Like when you get that message, you don't have to stop reverse dieting. It's just kind of an information thing telling you, hey, it looks like your metabolism is in a pretty good place now. But if you want to maximize your metabolism, I would probably keep pushing on with that and see how far you can push it before you start gaining weight more linearly. Current member, curious if there's a way to enter decimals or fractions for food and weight. So Brittany, you can enter decimals, but you can't enter fractions. So we don't have like the specific keyboard for adding fractions, but you can certainly use decimals on those. Okay, back to Instagram. I got quite a few here. Here's a good one. We get this quite a bit. How do I know if I should start with a reverse diet or a deficit? It depends on your history. So let's say you have a history of yo-yo dieting. You've constantly seem like you're always in this dieting phase, trying to lose weight, only to gain it back. You kind of go back and forth with that, and you are starting carbon. If you're somebody that has that history, I think starting with a reverse diet is probably the best choice, just because it'll help you gain consistency back with your diet, which is huge, which is required. When you're going to go back into a deficit to actually make progress, you need to have that consistency down to where it's just second nature to you and you don't struggle to stay on track. So starting with a reverse can really help with that, help build your confidence, help build the consistency. And also, because if you have that history of dieting, like it's probably a good idea to reverse diet because you probably have a suppressed metabolism. For people that haven't really been dieting too much, they just have been overeating, just enjoying life, I guess. Those types of people, I recommend just first starting out with a deficit. Even if they think they might have a slow metabolism, they don't necessarily have a slow metabolism. It might just be that they aren't consistent enough with their diet. And a lot of times people can start out with deficit and actually lose weight once they track everything they're eating and follow a plan for more than a few weeks. So for those types of people, I would start off with a deficit first, and then kind of prove to yourself and the app that you truly do have a slow metabolism. And then if your calories get really low, and in order to make progress, then that would make sense to switch over to a reverse, because you've kind of proved to yourself, hey, this deficit thing isn't really working out. So that's what I would do. You're welcome, Kendall. Okay, let's see. Jimmy, diving into your suggestions a little, if I wanted to plan for higher days on the weekend, would I just compensate throughout the week and model the macros as a percentage of total calories on Saturday, Sunday? So, Jimmy, I don't know if you saw it, but on your diary, there's this planner button. If you tap that, it kind of gives you this overall weekly view of Monday through Sunday, and you can adjust the days up and down there. And when you do that, no matter how you adjust those, it'll keep your weekly average on track with where it needs to be. So you can set higher days on the weekend and lower days during the week. And it's going to take them from, so you want to have protein consistent every day, but for your carbs and fats, you can have those be higher and lower depending on if you want higher and lower calories. And it is based on a percentage away from like your default. So the coach gives you default macros that if you want, you can eat those the same every single day throughout the week. If you do adjust the calorie planner, then will show like a little badge that says like plus 5%. So if you're 5% above your default adjustments on that day, it'll show a badge on the diary for the calorie planner, the percentages you are away. So hopefully that answers the question. Let's see. Can you reverse diet for too long? Yeah, for sure. Like you can reverse diet to a point where you're gaining a ton of weight, but is that really achieving the primary goal of a reverse diet? Like reverse dieting is meant for people that are coming out of a diet and they have a suppressed metabolism and they want to get their metabolism back to a normal, healthy place. Or it's also meant for people that are just looking to maximize their metabolic rate, and maybe they aren't coming out of a big diet, but they want to see how high they can get their calories while maintaining their weight or not gaining too much weight. So if you push past that point and you're gaining like a significant amount of weight every week, I would say you've reverse dieted for too long or gone too aggressive with the reverse diet. But your body's going to tell you when it's time to stop reverse dieting and when you've reversed for too long. So yeah. Is there a workout tab to be added later? We don't have anything in the works of adding workouts into the app yet. It's something we've discussed like from a really long-term perspective, but right now we're focusing on just nutrition coaching. Let's see. Any recommendations / tips when fairly new to flexible dieting and counting macros? Be patient. That is probably the biggest one. It can be frustrating if you are new to tracking and doing this type of thing, but it will get easier in time. It's something that you need to kind of work into your current lifestyle, and it needs to be something that you plan on doing for an extended period of time if you want to receive the benefits from it. Flexible dieting is great because it's something that you can fit into your lifestyle instead of having it take over your life. Like if you're just a person that would follow meal plans and have really rigid structure with your diet, like that can work for a finite amount of time, but flexible dieting's goal is more to fit into your life, have it be varying degrees of, I guess, intensity in terms of how strict you are with things. So if you have like a pretty strict goal of you want to compete in a certain time frame, like you're going to probably be a little bit more strict with your diet and be a little bit more rigid, maybe on the more towards the meal plan spectrum side of things. But, if you're just maintaining, living life, whatever, but just want to, maintain a good shape, maybe you're on the really flexible side of things and more go with the flow, track macros, not worry too much about the specific foods and those types of things. So there is a big spectrum that you can be on with flexible dieting, and it depends on your goals. But just, stick with it, give it time, and it will get easier over time, in my opinion. Let's see. Eric, about to start a dieting phase. How should I go about adding an extra cardio into the app, since I will be adding more cardio into my weeks during this diet phase? So when you start off the dieting phase, enter in so it asks for your activity level. Enter in what you're going to be doing for the cardio, like your average activity level with that cardio accounted for in that. And then as you get into your dieting phase and you are using the app and coaching and checking in each week, the app is going to learn your body and learn where you need to be eating to progress. And it doesn't matter anymore what you had set originally for your activity level, because it's going to find the calories and macros that you need to be eating to progress at the rate that you have set. So set it initially where you're going to be at starting in terms of cardio, and then just use the app. And let's say you're halfway through your diet and you're noticing that calories are getting a little low. At that point, then it's your choice to let the app take you lower in calories, or you can add in more cardio. And at that point, if you add in more cardio, your weight loss should pick up and the coach should say you're good, and then it shouldn't reduce your macros further. So we left the cardio and the activity really more on the user side, where the app kind of just makes up the difference in terms of what it needs to do based on what you're doing. So hopefully that helps answer that question. Are fast digesting carbs helpful with recovery post-workout? Yes, they are helpful with recovery, but it is not needed for most people. So what I mean by that is, if you're the type of person that just trains, one time a day, normal workout type thing, you don't need to worry about having any fast digesting carbs, because the reason why people take fast digesting carbs is more to replenish their glycogen a lot quicker post-workout. But if you are eating a normal amount of carbs every day and you work out just once a day, by the time you hit your next workout and actually work those same muscles again, you're going to be replenished with glycogen already. So there really is no need, in my opinion, to have fast digesting carbs post-workout. The only time I would recommend it is if you are doing like 2-a-days where you have an AM and a PM session and you're working the same type of muscle, or like, let's say you have a workout in the morning and then you're doing some type of activity later that maybe is involving the same muscles. In that scenario, I would say you could possibly benefit from having some faster digesting carbs after that first bout. But for most people, I would not worry about having fast digesting carbs post-workout, because also like they take away from the carbs that you're able to eat during the day. And typically fast digesting carbs are like maybe like a dextrose powder, where literally it's not really fun to eat. I mean, you just drink it, and so it's not like providing any pleasure in terms of eating. So I would much rather eat my carbs than drink them, and that's just me. But for most people, skip the fast digesting carbs. And then he also asks, does it matter when you consume carbs as long as you stay within your calories? For the most part, it doesn't matter. So calories are going to trump all in terms of your progress. That's going to be the most important thing. Then the next most important thing, in my opinion, is to make sure you're getting the right protein every single day. After that, like the benefits of of meal timing and those types of things are very, very, very small that Gen Pop people never see those benefits. If you're more of an elite type athlete, that's where those strategies can be beneficial, but it's really only providing a very small benefit. But in elite people, they are able to realize that benefit and actually benefit from it. But for most people using Carbon Diet Coach, I wouldn't worry about the times of eating your carbs. Just eat them whenever you feel like eating them. But with protein, make sure that you are more timing that and having kind of splitting it up evenly throughout the whole day and having it kind of be spaced evenly is the best strategy in my opinion. Great questions, everybody. Let's see. If you're loving these, give us some hearts, or give me some hearts if you're loving this live stream. Let's see. Is there a way to add waist measurement to get new body fat readings other than when you set your goal? Unfortunately not, Matthew, but so we have the waist measurement in there for the sole purpose of just getting a general idea of where your body fat is. The formula we came up with for the initial calculation is it needs a body fat number, and it just needs to be kind of more of a ballpark number. And with estimating it from your waist isn't going to be as accurate as if you actually get it tested. So we don't want to open that up to like a thing where people use that waist to get a body fat often, just because it's not going to be the most accurate. We just use it for the initial type calculation. So if you want to test your body fat, I would recommend actually testing it and entering that into the app and not necessarily relying too much on that estimated value from the waist. Let's see. It's been almost 10 weeks in a reverse diet. My weight is going up rapidly. I'm consistent with my macros. Powerlifting at the moment. Main focus is strength. Should change the goal to bulk. Wanted to fix metabolism, but since weight is going up, it's stressing them out. Check-ins and macros are going up and down. Don't see progress on my reverse diet. So, Jorge, it sounds like if you're gaining weight rapidly on a reverse, your calories are already kind of maxed out in terms of what you can do for a reverse diet. And, it sucks sometimes, but it's ultimately dictated based on your genetics, like how your body responds to what you're doing with your diet. So it sounds like you kind of have to back off at this point unless you want to keep gaining weight, but that's not something that I would really recommend. So I'd recommend going to maintenance instead. And if you do have goals of doing fat loss, like maybe considering doing fat loss once your body weight stabilizes at maintenance a little bit. But it definitely sounds like you probably should be done reverse dieting, in my opinion. Let's see. Thank you for answering. Yes, I've done the yo-yo and competed too. What happens if you gain weight in the app with the reverse? I suppose that's my fear. So the reverse diet setting works a little bit differently than like the gain weight setting. And so if you're on a reverse diet setting, what it does is there's like a max allowable weight gain that it'll let you gain in a single week before making adjustments. So let's say you go above that max allowable weight gain that you set when you created that goal. It's not going to keep increasing your calories. It's going to hold them. And the reason why it holds them steady is because oftentimes our bodies just need a little bit of time to catch up to the increase in calories. So having a week held at the current maintenance or at the current reverse dieting macros can often help your body catch up. And then, maybe next week the weight will come back down or it will maintain. So you're not just going to constantly be gaining weight and the app be increasing. So if you're gaining weight consistently, the app's not going to increase your calories. So it's kind of built into the reverse diet setting where its main purpose is to increase your calories as high as possible while keeping weight gain to a minimum. And if you really are concerned about gaining weight, I would take that allowable weight gain slider all the way to the left, because that will have that threshold be lower to where, you know, you won't gain as much before it holds your macros. Let's see. I'm just looking for a question here. I'm using carbon to prep for figure competition May 29, 2021. Any good tips should I be aware of as I go? Jody, I would just set the rate of loss. So you might need to do a little bit of math, like figure out what you need to be on stage for your stage weight, and then kind of back calculate how much that is over the course. And then that'll help you dictate how much you need to lose each week to get you to that stage weight. And I would build in a little bit of buffer. So set the rate a little bit faster than what you need to be ready, because oftentimes things come up. There'll be weeks where you don't end up making progress when you should. So don't cut it close. Try to give yourself enough time and be ready early for the show, because you can always switch to reverse dieting and reverse diet into the show. And that often helps you fill out a little bit more in terms of your muscle glycogen and help make you look a little less flat. So if you can reverse diet into a show and stay just as lean, I think that is the ideal scenario. And then in terms of peak week, that's not something that Carbon is going to be able to help you with. You would need to find somebody else, a prep coach or something, to give you maybe a peak week protocol plan or whatever. But some people think like peak week is this crazy magical thing. I think it's more of trying not to mess up all the work that you've already done. Some people like completely flip everything on its head, and their bodies fight them, and they end up looking worse on show day. So I would say be conservative with your peak week if you are a newer competitor that doesn't necessarily know your body and how it responds to things like that. So those are my suggestions there. Hopefully that helps. All right. What's the difference between the exercise activity levels when creating a new goal? Can you provide examples? So in the app, when it asks you what is your exercise activity, there is actually examples on the button there, gives you kind of what that would mean. But for the most part, that is strictly speaking about your exercise, your training program. It's not anything about steps or your normal daily activity. That's a completely separate thing. So there's two activity level things you need to set. Make sure you're setting the right values, and just read those descriptions below the buttons, and they should explain it well enough to set the right overall activity. So we take an average of both of those values to determine your overall activity. So make sure you're setting that correctly. Reverse dieting into the holidays effective for maximizing calories in order to maintain weight gain, less fat from extra food consumed. Yeah, I mean, dieting through the holidays is a real struggle, and unless you're very dedicated and have a game plan, most of the time it makes more sense to reverse diet into the holidays, maybe a little bit before, so that your calories are up to a decent place, your metabolism's in a good place to where it's a little less damaging if you were to overeat during the holidays. So the faster your metabolism is, the easier you're going to be able to recover from a day of overeating. So reverse dieting is definitely important for that, and can be a good strategy as well. But yeah, restricting prior to is a bad idea. I see a lot of people that try to diet into vacations, for example, and they want to lose a ton of weight, so they end up crash dieting into their vacation, literally to like the day they leave, and they go on vacation with a very suppressed metabolism. Then they end up just completely letting loose, overeating a lot, and gaining a ton of body fat. So that's obviously the worst scenario that can happen. So definitely, if you're struggling to stay on track, stay with a diet, I would reverse diet, and it will treat you well over the holidays. Let's see. Well, when we see next big update, what are the new features? I can't give specific dates on when the update's going to go out. It is going to come out soon, but like I said earlier in the stream, it's mostly some more housekeeping type things to fix a few issues, and then also just small improvements here and there. But we're going to be working on bigger improvements in the near future. Performance is one of those ones that we're going to be working on tackling very soon, making the app a lot more quick for people. And there's a lot of awesome features that we are planning out at the moment. But as a small team, it's quite difficult to release them quickly. So we want to make sure we're doing them right, and they're going to benefit a lot of people. So we're putting the proper amount of time, planning, and thought into the features. So, but we are working to get them out as quick as we can. Since I've started using Carbon, I no longer feel sore after my workout. My body is dead while working out, but one after working out my body. Okay, I can't understand that question. Sorry. Can you add some video guides on muscle gain? Muscle gain is largely dependent on your weight training program. So the diet thing is more like it just allows your body to add muscle, but you need that stimulus to add the muscle tissue. So you need to be doing a proper weight training program that is progressively overloading you, giving your body the stimulus to need to add more muscle, and that's the most important thing. And then, yeah, the app is giving you if you go with a mass gain setting, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to gain muscle. You need to have that environment. You need to be training properly on a mass gain setting if you want to build muscle as that mass. Otherwise, it's just going to be fat that you're gaining on the mass gain setting. So maybe some what are you looking for in terms of video guides, I guess, if you could be more specific. What is the minimum recommended grams of protein per gram or lean body mass? Mine is set to 1 pound, and it's 135 grams, which ends up being a lot for me personally to consume without resorting to shakes. So it sounds like you haven't been to your settings yet. We have a protein slider that you can adjust up and down within a range that we have deemed okay for you. So and it's based on your lean body mass. So to visit that, go to settings and then diet preferences, and then you'll see a protein slider. If you want to see how low you can go for you, take that slider all the way to the left. It'll show you the grams of protein is the lowest that we would recommend going for you. So if you're struggling to get in the protein, you can try to adjust that slider. And I would also look at other protein sources besides just protein shakes. There's plenty of high protein foods that you can include in your diet, and have a little bit more variety in your diet as opposed to just protein shakes. All right, let's see here. Let's see, guys. If you have questions, put them in on Instagram. Put them in the question box thing. It's a lot easier because it's hard for me to scroll up and see these comments. When the app asks if I'm close to my menstrual cycle or period, what's the definition of close? I would say if it's going to happen within this week, or if you are within a week of it, you probably should say yes. Basically, what we're trying to get at with that question is, do you think that your weight is being affected from your period? So whether that's, your period's coming up soon, or you just are ending your period, like if those are the scenario that's happening, I would mark yes. So then the app will have that information to work with. Does the app accurately track alcohol? Unfortunately, it doesn't, because we would need to build in some custom way to track alcohol, because food databases, all of the food databases out there go by what's on a nutrition facts label, and there isn't necessarily a nutrition facts label with alcoholic drinks. And even if there were, they would basically be like just all alcohol. So alcohol is its own macronutrient. Protein, carbs, and fats are other macronutrients. If we had a nutrition label, it's not going to show much in terms of protein, carbs, and fats for alcoholic drinks. So in the food databases, really all they show is just the total calories for the drink. Now, if you want to track that accurately, what you need to do is take that total calories that are in that drink and then divide it by either 4 or 9, depending on how you want to count it. So you need to count for those calories somehow, and we recommend accounting for them in your macros, in your protein, carbs, and fats, more specifically your carbs and fats. So if you want to count it as carbs, let's say you have a 100-calorie drink, you divide that by 4, and that'll give you 25 grams of carbs. You need to count that 100-calorie drink as. And you can create custom food. You can quick add however you feel like adding that in, but you need to count it as 25 grams of carbs. Then if you want to count it as fat, you do the same thing. Divide 100 by 9, and that would give you like 11 grams of fat or something like that. So that's how you need to count alcohol. It's a little bit difficult, but not too difficult. Like, it's just a little bit of math. It's more difficult if you want to count it as carbs and fats. So if you want to count it with both, you need to do a little bit more math. But that is what we recommend for alcohol. And the more you can limit the alcohol you drink while dieting, I think the better off you're going to be. You don't have to cut out alcohol completely, but I wouldn't make it, I guess, a regular part of your week. Maybe have it be a little bit more semi-regular, infrequent, because alcohol, not even just from like the alcohol taking away calories from your macros, like it also lowers inhibition. So like if you're drinking alcohol, you're more likely to go off your diet and say, I'm just going to have this snack, whatever, and just overeat. So alcohol isn't really the best in terms of dieting. So the more you can limit it, the better, in my opinion. Hold on. Will the updates / new releases happen automatic? Hope that makes sense. So Zadia, if you have it set up in your app store to do automatic updates, so you'll need to check your app store. Let's say you have iOS, for example. I know if you go to the app store, you can have it. You can say, I want automatic updates, and then it will keep all of your apps up to date. If you don't have that setting on, you'll need to go and manually update it from the store. But most people, I believe the default is to automatically update as new updates are released from developers. So it should be on by default, but I would just confirm that, and then you don't need to worry. It'll just keep the app updated. Let's see. So Neil, let's see. So Neil, thanks. Like rates of weight gain, what rates of weight gain should I aim for? want to maximize muscle gain and minimize fat gain. Obviously, I know I'll gain fat, but I want to make the most of the surplus. So, Neil, it depends on your level of training experience. If you've been training, let's say you're a newbie, you are going to be able to gain weight at a faster rate and more likely gain muscle. So you can gain weight faster and not worry as much about gaining body fat. But if you are more advanced, let's say you're intermediate or advanced, you're going to want to gain weight a lot slower because it's just difficult to build muscle the more you work out. So the more muscle you build, the harder it's going to get to build more. So you kind of want to scale back your rate of gain as you become more advanced in the gym. And good rates to aim for, let's say you are intermediate or advanced, I would aim to gain like maybe anywhere from like a quarter of a pound up to a pound a month. So it can be kind of anywhere in that range. Let's say you're more advanced, maybe you want to be more towards the bottom end of that range. Let's say you're less advanced, maybe you can go to the top end of the range. But gaining that amount in a month is a lot safer in terms of not gaining body fat. You're going to gain some body fat, but I think taking it more slowly and focusing on the gym a lot more is going to be really important and really good. And yeah, so hopefully that helps. And it can be hard to kind of track, I guess, that amount of weight gain. And depending on how much you weigh, like the app might not even let you go that slow because it's very hard for the app to pick up that change. So sometimes you need to just take the mass gain slider all the way to the left and go with the slowest rate of gain there. And hopefully that's slow enough for you. But yeah, I personally like to go slow with gaining weight and really focus on getting stronger in the gym and not adding too much body fat. And there can be a point of where that's like diminishing returns though. Like you can gain weight so slowly that you're basically at maintenance. And then, you could be leaving some gains on the table if you're just trying to gain muscle at maintenance. So there is like a happy medium ground there, and it's going to be different for everybody. Let's see. Back to Instagram. You're welcome, Zadia. Let's see. Evidence that set point weight can be shifted, and if it can be, is set point theory kind of BS now? What is the current consensus? So the issue with studying this type of thing is it's very, very, very difficult to design a study that can actually test this because it's such a long-term thing of changing your set point. Anecdotally, though, like with myself and with clients, I do believe you can change your set point over time. It can take quite a while, and it's kind of like you're changing more your habits over the long term, and that's what's giving you the results of making it easier to stick to the plan, and that's kind of what's changing your set point. So it's more like, I think it's more like a settling point to where all these factors of your life and your lifestyle, your nutrition, everything that goes into it, all of the factors kind of come together, and wherever the sum of all those things kind of fit together is kind of going to be your settling point in terms of where your body likes to be with your weight. Now, there is a point where like biologically, or physiologically, you're going to start fighting your body to be too lean, and that's more of like a body fat percentage level, and it's going to be different for everybody. But if you're looking to change your set point or your settling point, be ready to put in a lot of work for a very long period of time. Like I've been in fitness and training for well over 10 years now, I would say. And over those 10 years, I've been able to gain muscle, decrease my body fat, and be able to maintain a lot leaner of a physique now than I could 10 years ago. And for me, the level of commitment, the level of like struggle is about the same for me. Now, whether that's did my lifestyle just change so much over the years that I feel like it's easier to maintain it now, maybe. But like when I first started, I would say my body really liked to be more around like 12 to 15% body fat. And currently, like my body really likes to be at 8 to 10% body fat all year. So it is something I think you can change over time. It's going to take a lot of dieting, reverse dieting cycles to get you to the place where you can kind of lower that. Let's see. Guys, if you have questions on Instagram, put them in the question thing and I will get to those. I see I got a few here. Let's see. Are you guys going to start posting recipes more frequently? We're actually going to cut back on the frequency of recipes just because it's quite difficult to produce that level of exercise, or I mean, recipe content. So it's something we're struggling with currently. And so we are going to cut back on the amount of recipes that we're doing. But there are already a ton of recipes on our Instagram page. If you go to Instagram, you can kind of scroll through our feed and see a ton of different recipes that we have posted already. Let's see. Will there be an option to adjust for breastfeeding moms in the future? Probably not. Excuse me. So there's a lot of, I think, more legal type issues around pregnancy and breastfeeding that we don't want to get into with Carbon Diet Coach. With that said, like there doesn't need to be an option because the app is going to make up the difference of what needs to happen with your diet, regardless of what you're doing for activity, how your lifestyle is. The app is going to make up that difference and find exactly where you need to be eating to progress at the rate that you have set. So let's say you're not losing weight on your current setting, and you have a rate of loss set. The app's going to adjust your calories down until you are losing at that rate. So it's kind of going to force your body to lose weight at that rate. Then once it finds that rate, it's going to kind of keep you in there by making adjustments over time. So there doesn't need to be a breastfeeding feature or anything like that. They could just use the app if they want to. And if they have any concerns over milk supply, I wouldn't do fat loss, maybe do more reverse dieting or maintenance or mass gain and save fat loss until after they're done breastfeeding. How do you know whether you've been compliant? Do all of the macros have to be in the green? And how come the app doesn't do it for you? So if you want to be compliant according to the app, yes, all of the protein, carbs, and fat values need to be in the green. You don't need to worry about the calories if you're hitting those macros. So the protein, carbs, and fats need to be in the green if you want to be considered compliant per the app's recommendations. And how come the app doesn't just do it automatically for you? We want the user to make that conscious decision in their head if they're compliant or not, and say yes or no. If we just did things automatically for people, there would be a room for a lot of error and issues. So let's say like you know that you're compliant, but you forgot to track a whole meal, and that would throw off those ratios. You would be not compliant. And if we just automatically kind of did that, you were technically compliant, but you just forgot to track a meal. So that would throw off the whole calculation. That would screw up everything. So we kind of decoupled the tracker from the coach and make the user say yes or no. So it's as simple as just saying yes or no to the question. So we don't feel like it needs to be something that needs to be done automatically. And also, a lot of people use different trackers. Well, maybe not a lot of people, but some people use different trackers. You can use MyFitnessPal as your food tracker, and then Carbon Diet Coach as the coach and macro adjustments. So if we were to tie it together and do things automatically, there would be issues there as well. So those are the reasons why we don't just do things automatically for the user, and that's the compliance thing as well. Okay, let's see. Is there a recommended amount of time for maintenance versus reverse dieting? Been maintaining for 7 weeks, which is longer than I planned. So, I mean, it all depends on your goal. Like, what is your goal? Is your goal to maintain your current weight and you are fine with where your calories are at currently, you're happy, go with maintenance, and you can be on that setting for as long as you want to maintain your current weight. If you have any goals of improving your metabolism, then reverse dieting is a setting to go with. And I would ride out a reverse diet setting as long as you can without gaining too much weight. And so it is going to be the length is going to be completely dictated based on your goals. And so I can't really give you specific, you need to maintain for this many weeks and then reverse diet for this many weeks. It's very hard to do that. So have your goal dictate that, and go with the app's recommendations on those. If I take a diet break after 5 days, should I check in early and then change my setting? Any difference in carbon if 5 days versus 7 day break? So you can check in early if you want. The app allows you to do 5 days, and the only difference that happens with that is for this check-in period, it's going to evaluate that progress over 5 days and extrapolate it out to 7 days. So it's going to take that 5 days, figure out how much, if you progress at that same rate over the whole 7 days, where would you end up? So it kind of forecasts that and then uses that information to determine the adjustment. So if you want to just go back to whatever goal you had before the diet break, I'm assuming fat loss or weight loss, you can do that at 5 days. It's completely fine. It's not going to make a difference. If you maintained your weight and you are doing 5 days versus 7 days, it's not going to do anything different. So it's going to take you back to fat loss regardless. So just go with what you want. Like, do you want to check in early, or do you want to wait 2 more days of being at maintenance? All right. I noticed, to switch to maintenance, I noticed you have to reset your goal. Does this reset the coach? Mia, you don't reset your goal. You create a new goal. Resetting the coach is a completely different thing and only should be reserved for, let's say you screw something up big time in terms of the data you've put into the app and you want to start fresh. That's the only reason why you would ever want to reset the coach. Outside of that, you change your goal. You want to change your goal. And when you change your goal, you can have the app use your currently estimated maintenance, which is kind of based off of the data you have previously entered into the app and where it's sensing your metabolism is at currently. You can have it do that, or you can have it create a new goal as if you are a new person, and it's going to kind of evaluate new data that you put in. So most of the time you want to have it use your current estimated maintenance when you're creating that new goal. And you have to create a new goal because let's say your goal is fat loss. Maintenance is a new goal. Like, you have to create a new goal to switch to maintenance. So but don't reset the coach unless you absolutely have to. Most of the time you don't have to. And if there's any issues, you can always reach out to us at support@joincarbon.com, and we can hopefully fix the issue and not where you won't need to completely reset the coach. But if you're like within the first week or two and you notice you screwed something up, in that scenario, we're going to recommend just resetting the coach anyway. So hopefully that helps. How do I put my membership on hold? I don't want to lose. You can't put your membership on hold. It's a subscription that needs to be active if you want to use the app. So if you don't want to use the app for a period of time, you can cancel your subscription, and then when you do want to use the app again, just resubscribe, sign in with the same account that you had before, and all of your data, all of your history will be there, and you can just pick up where you left off. So if you do want to take a break, just unsubscribe and then resubscribe when you want to use it again. Sorry, I don't want to lose. So hopefully, I think that answers your question, fitness, love, and faith. Let me know if that doesn't. You're welcome, Mia. All right, I got time for a few more here. I see I got a few coming in on Instagram. I seem to be a person who hangs on to water weight for a long time. Example, after diet breaks, will carbon take this into account over time? So if you are, so if the weight sticks around for a long period of time, it's not water weight, it's body fat. Water weight is more transient, and it is only going to stick around for a day or two if you go back to more of a normal routine. So if you notice it's sticking around for a while, that's more likely going to be body fat. And does the app take this into account? So the app allows, when you change your goal, the app allows more progress or more changes in the first week without making an adjustment. So let's say you go to maintenance, or you go from maintenance to fat loss, and let's say you lose a lot of weight your first week on fat loss. The app, if you're within that tolerance, the app allows more weight loss in that first week without making an adjustment. So it will take that into account. But with what you're saying with water weight, I would confirm that it is actually water weight. And if you have water weight sticking around for that long of a period of time, there may be some underlying health condition that is causing that, and maybe you want to have your doctor check you out. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Calorie content of BCAAs, labeling doesn't require it, but amino acids aren't 0 calories given they make up protein. Yeah, exactly. So I would count those as as protein. Obviously, amino acids make up protein. The only thing that's different is it doesn't have those bonds holding the amino acids together. They're more free-form amino acids. So the calorie difference between amino acids in their elemental form and whole proteins isn't going to be too terribly different. So I would definitely count any kind of branch chains that you take or anything like that, any amino acids, as protein. So count it towards your protein targets. I will answer one more, and then I think it's going to cut me off. So, okay, here's another one. This is kind of also in relation to water weight type things. So if you have a lot of sodium and you know your weight is falsely high, should you still enter weight into the app / issues with skewing average? So if you are weighing in daily, entering your weight daily into the app, having a high day here and there is not going to skew the average much at all. And that's the whole reason why we recommend people weigh in daily, because the app is going to look at the average depending on which check-in week it is. So if you're in the first week of a goal, it's not going to look at your average. But if you are multiple weeks in, the app is going to look at your average, and then those high days from sodium aren't going to be affecting the coach if you weigh in daily. So that's why we recommend weighing in daily. If you are the type of person that only weighs in a couple times a week or once a week or whatever, then I would wait till your weight normalizes before you check in, just because you could be giving the app inaccurate data of your true weight. So wait till you know where your weight is actually at, and then enter that in the app. But most of the time, definitely recommend entering in weight daily, and the app will do more with it. It'll use your average and figure that out over time. So hopefully that helps. That's going to wrap it up for this live stream. appreciate all of you guys checking in and joining me on today's live stream. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving yesterday and have a great weekend ahead. And we do these every Friday, so be sure to join in next Friday. I'm not sure, it might be Lane or Holly or all three of us. I don't know at this point whose it is, but be sure to tune in next Friday. If you want to find more about me, I'm available on Instagram. You can find me at Keith Kraker, and on Facebook, YouTube. Just go to Instagram, find me, because that's really where I am mostly. Yeah, appreciate all you guys. I hope you have a great weekend, and we will talk soon.